it should be a non-negotiable prerequisite for anyone working on a video game adaptation, or any adaptation for that matter, to have played the game or read the book or interacted with the source material in some deeper capacity than just having heard about it.
Henry Cavill has fought this battle a couple of times and lost.
Boy, has he ever. Going around the internet today is the news that a live-action God of War series has been greenlit for 2 seasons at Amazon Prime.
Oof.
With the showrunner, Ronald D. Moore, saying...
Are they doing Last of Us? Is Amazon Prime doing Last of Us? No,
it's HBO.
Okay, all right.
But the showrunner, Ronald D. Moore, said he couldn't figure out how to play the game. Quote, "I'm not a gamer."
Oh my God.
Yeah, he did a video with he was on a podcast with Katie Sackhoff, I think it was her. Is that her name? The chick from Mandalorian?
Yes, Katie Sackhoff. She's a great actress. She's in The Mandalorian. She was in a Netflix show with Longmire. Longmire, she did amazing in also. Yeah, amazing actress. Love her.
Right. Well, he was on her podcast and he's saying how, I'm not a gamer. I've never done this before. So I don't know about the joysticks and the this and the that and the other thing. I've tried to play the game, but I'm not a gamer. I took a stab at it. I grew up on the arcade, is what he said. So I got pretty frustrated.
This reminds, I agree with you. This reminds me, I just started watching the Ravens, the Rob McElhenney show.
Oh, Rob McElhenney.
Raven's Claw. Right, yeah. What's it called? Raven's Claw or whatever.
Mythic Quest?
Mythic Quest, yes. Mythic Quest Raven's Claw or whatever. Yeah, no. Okay. It's Raven something.
It's about birds. Mythic Quest.
Yeah, it's called Mythic Quest, but there's like an expansion title name.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, he's... It's just funny because they're talking about like video games and how like the author that he hired that made his game famous is like some guy from the 70s, and like he has this
the old guy realization. Yeah, he's really funny.
He has this realization, oh my God, if you actually play the game, you can feel the story of the character.
Yeah.
And like this changes my world on writing, and I'm a writer. I'm an author. I wrote books, and I'm just like, idiot. What do you mean?
So
it feels like that's kind of what we're dealing with here. Is hello, stupid. Video games are great, and they tell good stories, and the fact that you don't understand it bothers me a little bit. But
to be clear,
do us some justice.
He's not belittling video games. He's simply saying
no. Yeah. I get that.
I don't play them. And my frustration, and I think on the internet is echoing that too, is that like, well, hey man, I get it's a job, but why are you working on something that you're not familiar with? Because we see time and time again, writers come in and they try to make it their own, and it never lives up to the source material. It only frustrates fans. It causes a rift between the production and the fans start to resent the creators, and the creators resent the fans, and the whole thing goes to shit. That's what happened with The Witcher.
We've talked about this with Henry Cavill ad nauseum.
Yeah. Happened with The Witcher. It's happened with the Snyder stuff, a lot of it. It's just time and time again we see this happen, and it's like, again, I get it. It's a job, and like I'm sure he's gonna try to put effort into it, but like go out and hire people that like know the fucking shit, man, and appreciate it. That's all I want. I'm not saying it's gonna be a bad adaptation, but I just feel like you're coming out of the gate behind the 8 ball a little bit because you just have not played those games,
When you don't know or respect or even adore the lore,
Mm-hmm.
you present yourself as somebody who doesn't care.
And I may be reaching,
And
but
that's a problem. It's a problem.
I agree. And I may be reaching, and it might speak to a greater issue with, and the answer to why video game adaptations have historically been so bad, because they're probably being
There's
made
been some
by
good ones.
people who haven't played games. Because video games historically are kind of just like sort of looked at in like as like a thing you do in your mother's basement or whatever. Like it's not historically a popular pastime up until like recent years.
I
so.
think Sony in the 2000s hit really well on Spider-Man, because that was when the not the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, but the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans were coming out, and they were making games
Mm-hmm.
that were like,
Yeah, the Spider-Man 2 for Nintendo 64 is one of the best games I've ever played. I've spent thousands of hours web slinging.
accenting and accentuating those stories to a level like the game would come out and you could play the game, and then you could go to the movie when it released and you'd be like, holy shit, like it's so good, it's together and it makes sense, and they were in a groove there. But yeah, nowadays it just feels like they're taking advantage of. It's the R word. I don't want to say that. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube.
You can't.
But they're R wording some of our lore.
Commodifying is what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. They're commodifying, codifying, and all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
Crap.
But yeah, I don't know. That happened today, and it's frustrated me a little bit. I hope it's good. I like God of War. A lot of people like God of War. Just don't fuck it up.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the greatest selling games on the PlayStation. Obviously, you got Grand Theft Auto and Spider-Man and Kratos, God of War. Like, those are, when you think of PlayStation, you don't really think of much else beyond that.
Metal Gear.
I mean, there's the Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear. Obviously, there are some games that hit.
Yeah.
But as far as like franchises, Spider-Man is a franchise. God of War is a franchise.
You right.
Uncharted, obviously, also a franchise, which they did okay on the movies with, but I don't know.
Well, yep, that's all I wanted to say to start. Just come on.
Okay.
Come on, companies. Hire people that like are familiar with the shit. Do better.
Yeah. Or enjoy it. You
try to enjoy it.
In familiar is you get on that path of, I know this source. I don't like this source. I'm going to make this source my own. And that's where we went with The Witcher. And so it's like, get people that love the source material and want to give it respect.
Exactly. Well said.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Welcome back to the Harsh Language Podcast, folks.
Yeah.
Marvin could not be here this week. Is it 125 officially? I was just going to check because I always forget.
Is it? I think it is.
Let's see.
I want to say 124 was the last one you announced, but I could be wrong.
I fucking cleared my cookies and I have to relog into everything on Earth. Let's see. Drum roll, please. Let's see. Episode 125. He was right. Welcome back, folks, to the Harsh Language Podcast, episode 125. We're talking about A Complete Unknown today, later on in the show. Marvin couldn't be with us today. Actually, my fault. My birthday was on Sunday. Apologies.
It's okay.
I threw the week into a death spiral.
It happens.
We're recording on a different day than normal, but that's okay. The show must go on. How's your week been?
It's been good.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Nice.
Life's happening.
Aside from
and I'm
the
enjoying it.
Movie we're here to talk about, did you watch anything good this week?
I have watched a few things. Yes, I watched the Witcher movie.
Oh, the Sirens of the Deep.
I actually,
yeah, it was good.
It was good. although I watched it and fell asleep, and I tried to rewatch it and I fell asleep. So I need to watch like the last 40 minutes of it
That's fair. Happens sometimes.
because I watch it late at night. But
Yeah.
the beginning of it, it's good. It's better than The Witcher that we were,
Yeah, it's not amazing.
referencing earlier.
It's not
But,
amazing,
yeah,
but it's good.
that and there's a couple other movies. I wanted to watch Flight Plan. That's out. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch that. I've not watched it yet, but
Nice.
yeah, there's I don't know. Have I watched anything else?
You
Nothing
caught up
good.
on Severance? This week is the finale, the season finale.
Yes, I haven't. Well, the finale's not out, right? We're on.
No. Finale comes out
Okay.
Thursday. This is Tuesday.
I am caught up with Severance.
Nice.
Yes.
What'd you think of the last episode? It's good. I thought
We
it was good.
got some information and we got some questions, and that's where we go with the story.
Yep. Say the same thing every episode. Got some questions, few answers, more questions than answers. Looking good though. I think the finale is gonna be sick. How you doing on Daredevil? Episode 4 drops tonight. Have you watched episode 3?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
That was quite the ending. I'm surprised who they think they're fooling. Not me. Not my boy Frank.
Not me. No. He's gonna show up and be mad
Oh, he's gonna be real upset.
at the people
Oh yeah.
that are wearing these tattoos and these emblems. They're just like, you don't know what you're fucking doing, brother.
Yeah.
You gotta die. And so a lot of people, I feel like, are gonna die. But they're just building up for that, and that's great.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio is a great Kingpin.
Oh yeah.
We knew this was the storyline that we were gonna get, and it's good. And Daredevil, it's not amazing, it's not phenomenal,
Not yet, no.
but it's
good. It's solid.
It's entertaining television.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to what's coming next. It's entertaining.
Supposedly season 2 is a
It
direct.
hasn't blown my balls off yet, but I'm looking for it.
Supposedly season 2 is going to be a direct continuation.
Spider-Man's got to show up.
He's not.
He's gonna punch Kingpin in the face, and he's gonna show up and be like, "Fuck you, Kingpin!" And while he swings away, and that's all we're gonna get a Spider-Man just to tie him in, just so people know, hey, it's the same universe. That's what's gonna happen.
He's not gonna.
And we're gonna be like, "Oh my god, did you see that? That was so amazing!" Like we're gonna talk about it on like episode 5 or 6, or maybe 7 before it ends. I guarantee you, somebody's swinging in to do something weird, and we're gonna talk about it. That's how I feel about it.
I hope that's the case, but I don't think that's the case. I think Sony's jaws are clamped down a little too tight on old Spidey. But you do raise an interesting point, though, because it's been going around that season 2 is apparently going to be a direct continuation of season 1 in terms of like it's exactly the same like story. It's just progressing into season 2.
Sure. Yeah. He's putting the suit on and getting serious.
I read that supposedly he's going to be putting together a bit of a team to take on Kingpin. So we getting the Defenders back together. What's her name? The chick who plays Jessica Jones was seen in New York City like the day or two after they started filming season 2. So I'm assuming she's coming back and probably that crew. So we'll see. I don't think Spider-Man's going to show up, though. That's wishful thinking. I would love for that to be the case because I want to see Spider-Man take on Kingpin. But, again, Sony's
I mean, there's
too fickle.
So many stories to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Heroes for Hire is
Endless stories.
The one, is the big one. So, we'll see.
So, yeah, that's been good. Episode 4 is tonight, so I look forward to watching that later on. I've been watching it with Ed. Shout out to Ed.
Shout out.
And our boy Mike from California. You hung out with him back when we played that Marvel game together.
Yes, Marvel Avengers.
Yeah, I didn't watch much this week.
Square Enix, they
dropped the ball hard on that one, big time.
It had potential,
a lot of potential.
Just fucked it up.
Yep.
Yeah. But so many games do that.
So one of the things I have been watching, one of my favorite shows, and honestly, one of the best shows on TV, and it has been consistently, and I've been talking about it probably, I think, since we started the podcast. I've been like raving and ranting about it like a lunatic, and that is The Righteous Gemstones on HBO, Danny McBride's show.
I saw him on
Theo?
an interview show on YouTube because I don't watch anything else. Everything I watch is on YouTube, basically, besides
you're a Zoomer now.
television shows. Besides television shows that I watch,
Yep.
And he was talking about some stuff, and I thought I found it interesting, but I have not seen The Righteous Gemstones yet. I've not started that show.
It's one of the funniest shows I've ever watched. It's like in terms of
I'm a Danny McBride fan. Like Eastbound and Down is. If you've not seen that show, you just pause this episode right now, and go watch the first episode, and then come back and say, all right, Eastbound and Down is something I could watch, because it is, because that show is fucking amazing, because Danny McBride is brilliant.
Yeah, he's a gift from heaven. You've watched Vice Principals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is just more of his brilliance. You'd love it. I mean, you got to watch it. So the last season premiered. This is the final season. It premiered a couple of days, like a week or two ago. I think 2 weeks ago now. And so I've been watching that week to week.
Who the main character? It's not Dan. I want to say Dan Aykroyd. It's not Dan. It's a Dan something, right?
What?
Who's the main character?
Danny McBride.
He got hurt. No, not Danny McBride. The older feller that was with
John Goodman?
Roseanne. John Goodman.
Yeah, Danny was his character in Roseanne, you psycho.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, John Goodman is in it. He plays their dad. It's about 3 kids who take over their dad's mega church. They're preachers.
He apparently had an injury filming with Tom Cruise, I want to say, in a Mission Impossible.
Oh, really? I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. He recently had an injury, anywho. But yeah, no, John Goodman.
Yep.
Great actor.
He is in it. So so the last season premiered, and so I've been watching that. Fantastic show. You should watch it. And everybody should watch it. It's on
the wish list.
One of the best shows on TV. I can't believe people don't talk about it more. But Danny McBride has been going around doing promo for it, and he was on Theo Von this week. And
it was a great episode. I listened.
Oh, you watched it?
I did.
Yeah,
yes.
It was good. They were talking about growing
Anytime
up.
Theo has a good host on, or a good person on to host, I guessed. Yeah, I watch. It's great.
So they were talking about growing up and what an awesome experience it was renting physical movies. And it echoed some of the conversations that we've had recently.
There's some great conversations about that. Yes.
Danny made a great point that I never even thought of, that if you wanted to rent a movie back, during the rental movie days, and it wasn't available, it made the experience like all that much more special when it was like, oh, fuck, I finally got Under Siege. It's in my house.
Right. I went in to rent it and it was not available.
Like 2 weeks
the next
straight.
week I went in and I finally got it.
Yeah.
And the guy that was talking to me about it 6 weeks ago that said, you need to watch this. Like, that experience does not exist. You are absolutely right.
Not me. Danny's right. Give him the credit.
Yeah.
And it was a great point, because I just hadn't thought about that. And I forgot that that's what it used to be like, is you would go in.
Good point.
And like,
great point.
Oh man, this movie's still not in. Like it's like you had to go back and just keep checking for it or whatever. And then you finally got it, and it was like, oh man, like finally, like I get to watch this.
But even the browsing past that, like, it's not in. I'm here and I want to find a movie to watch. And there's somebody next to me that was looking for it. And we're going to strike up a conversation about how, nah, that movie fucking sucks. That movie fucking sucks. That one's a good one.
Yeah.
So you get into these conversations about, like, people come to YouTube now for the critiques and the conversations that Danny McBride was alluding to in that conversation because of.
It was a different time.
The time.
Yeah. Having access to everything like we do now is awesome and great for convenience. But it definitely makes things a little less special. And
it
so,
does.
Yeah,
it's like what's the video where all the actors go to a closet and pick
Oh
out
yeah. That's the what is it? I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. But yeah.
It starts with a C. I want to say the something closet where people go and pick out good movies.
It's just called Criterion Closet Picks. Yeah.
The Criterion Closet. Yes.
Yeah.
Knew it started with a C.
No, yeah,
But
that's a cool premise.
Like the Criterion Closet. Yeah, it's going just and this is why we started this channel, like Criterion Closet. Like we started this channel to be like, hey Marvin, this is our Criterion Closet. You need to see these videos.
That's right.
To be able to appreciate film and industry. And so like I love that we're circling around back to it, and it touches on it every time we go through stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's awesome. But yeah, so Danny McBride making good points. It's cool too. He really is like a gift from heaven.
He's brilliant.
He's hilarious. He's effortlessly funny. He's like one of those people that's just like, it's just funny without trying.
Eastbound and Down is must watch.
Oh yeah,
like must.
So is Vice
watch.
Principals, honestly, I think, and honestly, so is Gemstones.
Will Smith. Oh my gosh,
it's a great show.
I can't with the amount of scenes.
Yeah,
in that. Let the boy watch. So good.
Yeah, he's just everything, and he also says on Theo that like he didn't even intend to be an actor. He was a writer. He wanted to be a writer, and he like got put in a project because like the actor
some
could like back out or something.
There.
Yeah. I've especially loved him.
He's like, I had never done acting, and somebody was doing a movie.
His friend,
yeah, somebody backed out. Yeah, his friend backed out, and like they asked me to just fill in.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, sure. And that's how he became an actor, because he was a writer and director, and you could see the writer and director in him. Like you can definitely see that.
Yeah, definitely.
But the acting in him is also like, it's a chef's kiss.
Oh, totally.
It's amazing.
The only stain on his brilliant career, in my opinion, is of course the Halloween trilogy that he did with David Gordon Green.
Oh yes.
But listen, I can't. I won't.
We can't all be winners all the time.
No,
right.
I won't begrudge him too much for that. But goddamn, are those movies bad? Except the first one's not that terrible, but
yeah,
you know,
the Halloween trilogy. Dan is a Halloween fanatic, as you guys know, and so we watched this one together. And Dan was so defeated when we watched this movie. He was like, "What the fuck?" More and more, things that I like are just I wish I could have recorded it for posterity.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was so good. It was good. There's some certain scenes in those movies where it's like, yeah, this is Danny McBride, and it's funny, but this is also Halloween, and this is not funny.
No,
it should not exist in this universe. Please stop.
So, speaking of the harsh language, closet picks, I saw that you picked the movie that we're gonna make Marvin watch for this month.
You know, I
Summer
thought
School,
about it, and
no?
I've leaned against you a lot.
What do you mean?
You make recommendations sometimes on my month. You're like, I just picked a movie, and I know it's not my month, and it's March. It's spring.
Are you trying to say I strong arm you into picking things?
You try sometimes, and I almost.
What did I do this month? I don't remember suggesting anything.
Almost went with Boondock Saints.
Oh, I did mention that. You're right. I did.
You did.
I did. Sorry.
But
hey,
I cannot. It is spring. It is almost summer. And this is a Reiner film. Who this guy is brilliant. He's been in a lot of things. He's written a lot of things, acted in a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is a must watch for any person that's a horror fan, because this movie is a chef's kiss to horror films. And just nothing to do for the summer. I love this film. And yes.
Is this not a comedy?
This is a comedy.
Well, I've in a shocking twist of fate, I too have not seen this
These
movie.
guys are horror film fanatics, Dan. They're one of you.
I've never seen this movie.
So this is great. Yes.
So good pick.
This is a make Marvin and make Dan watch. These guys love horror films. They're like you and me, Dan. They appreciate a good horror film, but they do pranks based on horror film themology.
So this is summer school.
It's a summer school. This guy's trying to get out. What's his name? The main character right there that we're looking at.
Mark Harmon.
He's trying to get out of. He's with the hot chick at the time, Kirsten Alley. This is in the 80s, 90s. Kirstie Alley. She's
damn, I forgot she died.
She's
That's
a woman
depressing.
of the times, and he's trying to show her affection, but he gets stuck at school teaching these kids, and it's an amazing movie. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Damn, I forgot she
Marvin's
died.
gonna love it. You're gonna love it, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yep.
So yeah, teaser, spoiler.
All right, that's a good pick.
Make Marvin watch Summer School.
So it's rare that I haven't seen something, so that'll be exciting, especially something from the 80s. All right, well, let's get into this week's news, folks. Dusty used to be a newsman. He worked in video game news, but now he works in movie news for us here at the Harsh Language Podcast. I'm going to kick it off, actually, I think, because you got a bunch of stuff here, and I don't want to yuck your yum. But there were a couple things just little small things that I saw this week browsing the internet that I wanted to make mention of. As per The Insider, one of my favorite directors, Darren Aronofsky,
Jeff Snyder,
is in negotiations to direct a Stephen King adaptation. Speaking of adaptations earlier, this is for Cujo.
Yep.
I don't know how true it is, but or how close to it being a thing it is. There was a Cujo movie in the past. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yep. Given that this is Stephen King and Stephen King sells his rights for $1, I do not dismiss the notion that there's a possibility that this movie's coming out.
I'm sure it's coming out. I'm just curious if Darren Aronofsky's directing it.
The Cujo movie.
Not great.
What is the year on that? 1980?
1983.
1983. Yep. Not great.
Not great at all.
Great.
No.
This is not a make Marvin watch. This is a Marvin. You could watch this and make fun of it.
Yeah. However, it is one of Stephen King's, I think, coolest stories, and in the hands of
it's a great story.
In the hands of a
great
visionary
potential.
Like Darren Aronofsky.
This movie, not so great.
In the hands of a visionary like Darren Aronofsky, I think it could be kind of crazy. So
it could be good.
That's good. That's exciting if that
There's
does come to
potential there
fruition.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's potential. So I like it. But,
another little thing I noticed: Sadie Sink.
Hesitant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sadie Sink joining Spider-Man 4 in an undisclosed role. A lot of people are pegging her as
Mary Jane.
A lot of people are pegging her as Mary Jane, but there's a pretty popular theory and desire among fans that she's playing Jean Grey. I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago, people were like, "Ooh," they were fan casting X-Men, and they're like, "Sadie Sink should play X-Men. Should play Jean Grey in the X-Men movie." Now all of a sudden, it turned into, "Oh, apparently Sadie Sink is in talks with Marvel. I wonder if it's for Jean Grey." Then it came out that she signed on to Spider-Man 4. Because she has a red head, everybody's like, "Oh, clearly Mary Jane." It wouldn't make a lot of sense to me if they ditch the MCU's MJ, Michelle Johns, or whatever her name was, and then introduce the real MJ, Mary Jane Watson. But it also wouldn't make sense to introduce Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie. So who the fuck knows what's going on?
Yeah, she could be Madam Web for all we fucking know.
She could be. I want to see her play Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. That's a character we haven't even seen in the movies.
That's a good one. So
I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah. So that was one thing I saw. There's a funny comment here on this tweet that says she's playing Black Panther. I get the joke, and it's kind of funny.
That's possible.
One of the rare times that these anti-woke fucking clowns are funny. So that was funny.
Yeah.
But speaking of Marvel, real quick, before you jump into your news, you said you didn't watch the trailer for this, but a trailer came out and a clip for this documentary called Stan Lee, The Final Chapter. And
yes,
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch this based on these clips. It's about how Stan was exploited by his former business partners for financial gain during the last years of his life. As far as I know, Stan Lee hired some like financial advisors and managers and stuff, and they like completely took advantage of him in his old age and like had him parading around like cons and festivals and all this shit, just completely like elder abuse. And this guy who was there filmed the whole thing and documented it, and is now coming forward with a documentary.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And good for Stan. But I feel conflicted about all of it.
Yeah.
Because this is what Stan did to artists who
Correct.
wanted to be Marvel creators. So
right.
While I can empathize with
elder abuse,
Stan, and elder abuse, or just abuse in general, it doesn't have to be. We don't have to label it elder abuse.
No, that's fair.
We're just talking about abuse.
Yep.
Stan was an amazing person who was put in charge of an amazing intellectual property, who, in the term of his career, did some great and terrible things. So I am conflicted on all of it.
Well,
as you would imagine, but in the same time, I rejoice in Stan Lee.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. Of course, you're not saying
people like him.
Yes, of course, you're not saying because he may have mistreated his coworkers and friends. Surely he doesn't deserve.
As an editor,
this.
He did a great many things.
Right. Some people are conflicted of like this guy, like, oh, you're just fucking coming out with it now for money, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that's the case at all. These things take time to come out. You're right. Stan Lee does have a tumultuous history and backstory with the Marvel properties and taking credit for things that maybe weren't his own creations. And Steve Ditko was pretty vocal about it and things like that. I don't know, obviously, what really happened. I don't think anybody does. There's been documentaries about it and accounts and stuff.
We're in an age where we can appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't think
also
in any of the
have some sort of like
you can't dismiss it. Yeah. I think any of the things that I've ever seen about it, I would say that it's more likely that he didn't do any of those things maliciously. I think he probably did what he thought was good for the brand, not just the Marvel brand, but his brand. Because keep in mind, he is a brand, a big brand, but his brand is such an inherent part of Marvel that it overcomplicated things, I think, a lot. And he probably felt that what was good for his brand was good for the Marvel brand, and so on and so forth. And he probably at the time didn't really know the damage that he was doing to those people. And like,
well, I think his brand was the Marvel brand, and that's where I think where I get into this whole like Stan Lee thing. Like, I love Stan Lee, I respect Stan Lee, and I will always admire Stan Lee. But there are some things that he did along the way where he made some stories and pushed some stories and relegated stories or whatever it is Stan Lee did while he was head of Marvel.
Yeah, for sure.
He wove a story that was his own, but also not his own. And so you have to respect that it wasn't his, but it was. Like there were some things that he did that were amazing. He had some visions, some ideas, and that was him.
In the early days.
That's amazing. And Stan Lee is somebody who did something for an industry that without him, we probably wouldn't be where we're at.
Oh, no.
You and I would not be sitting here having this conversation. We wouldn't be talking about movies.
No.
We wouldn't be talking about comics. We wouldn't be. I don't know what we would be doing.
One could
But there were
argue
some things
that
Stan Lee did that was amazing.
One could argue that Stan Lee's responsible for fandoms, like in general, and just how they are.
Absolutely, because he was a guy who would make you cheer for him or against him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that I love about Stan Lee is like he was that crazy of a character where he would put himself in the story, but he was also make a story that was so controversial. They were like, wow, no, fuck that. Fuck him and fuck them. Like he took risks and I love him for it.
Yeah, so, I'm definitely interested in watching that documentary. It's probably going to be very depressing, but definitely want to watch it.
Gonna be sad.
Yeah,
gonna be sad.
So, what kind of news you got for us this week, Dusty? What do you got?
All right. Well, we heat. We got some heat.
We got some heat on heat.
Heat 2. Now, Heat is this spoiler alert. This is a make Marvin watch. Because I doubt he's seen Heat.
Oh, no. And it's one of the best movies ever made.
But Heat 2, apparently the script has been submitted. And WB is getting cold feet, man.
Oh, no. Why?
Agents and actors are said to be lining up to be part of the project. We got Austin Butler, Adam Driver, Ana de Armas.
Right.
All rumored to be interested in the project. But I don't know if it's going forward. Industry Insider says the execs there have a hot property in Heat 2. The novel is a bestseller. The film's only gotten more popular and beloved over 30 years since its debut. It is a favorable movie and story outside of film. The book is good. But this is probably $100 million budget or better. And WB might be getting cold feet, Dan.
You know, it's interesting.
It could not happen, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it probably shouldn't happen if we're being realistic, because Heat's not a movie.
Really?
Heat's not a movie that needs a sequel. It probably shouldn't get a sequel. It's probably not going to be good. It's probably not going to live up to the original. Michael Mann's last movie wasn't that great, I think, as far as the general consensus goes. But what is interesting, at the bottom of this article here, it says, this doesn't even take into account James Gunn's Superman, which is of almost incalculable importance to the future of Warner Brothers, according to Puck. The budget on Superman is still unknown, but will in all likelihood be in the $200 million range. A source tells me, quote, anything under $700 million box office would be deemed a failure. And reason I say that's interesting is I have something that I took note of on Twitter. I was going to wait to talk about it because you have some Superman news, but it's actually more pertinent here. A Twitter account quoted something similar, saying that exact quote that I just read has almost incalculable importance to Warner Brothers Discovery. There's a reported genuine fear of the film studio going the way of 20th Century Fox, which was acquired by Disney in 2019. And apparently from one Warner Brothers veteran, quote, an essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful.
Well, we're getting into it because Warner Brothers is in a situation where they don't know where to go. And that's why, like, this is news, because Heat was an amazing movie.
Oh, yeah. One of the best movies ever made.
Like, acclaimed movie.
Sure is, yeah.
The shootout scenes in this movie.
Spoilers.
Are the foundation of many movies that we have seen to date since then. If you watch a heist movie, a bank heist movie, a cop movie, there are chances that there are some influences from this movie.
100%.
Heat.
I've described
inside of it.
I've described The Dark Knight here on this very show as Heat with Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about Heat 2. It was supposed to have $100 million budget, but Warner Brothers is in such dire straits that they don't know what to do with it, and they're scared of it. Almost, it seems like,
Yeah.
which is interesting because, I mean, the guy that made Heat 2 or the turn in the script, Michael Mann, he did Ferrari.
Yeah.
And there was a $95 million movie that only grossed $44 million worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody that are like, all right, we'll give you $100 million.
Yep.
Make a movie about cars that's cool. And then we'll give you this heist movie. And the movie that he made,
quid pro quo,
Ferrari, it fell short. It only made like $45 million. It did not make the $100 million that they gave him to make. So I mean,
well,
Warner Brothers is in trouble, Dan.
I agree. And this quote, I think this quote here, Superman is of almost incalculable importance to the future of Warner Brothers. I think that's an understatement. If we're being real here, Superman's probably up there as being one of the most important movies of all time when all is said and done. Now, I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I think the fate of the DCU, the fate of Warner Brothers, and I think the fate of comic book movies in general are riding on Superman being a success. If they can't make Superman a hit, I think it's going to be worrying for the industry as a whole, not just Warner Brothers.
That's fair.
Like, for the last couple of years, we've seen, Marvel starting to decline in quality and creativity, and
well, it's because they have to go to the
we have the corporate takeover of everything.
Marvel's went from B characters to C characters.
Yeah,
because
no, I know, but it's not just that. It's also the lazy corporatization of creativity and stuff. People talking about superhero fatigue, comic book movie fatigue, all this stuff. Theaters are dying. The theater experience is dying. Movies they release and then they get thrown out to streaming in under 2 weeks. I think the industry as a whole has a lot riding on this Superman movie.
The next thing up for WB is really the Superman trailer. This is
a lot of WB.
I've
rumors.
been talking about. We thought it was going to come out, and the Super Bowl did not happen. We got teasers. But the Superman trailer, according to sources, CinemaCon 2025.
Yep.
Warner Brother Pictures prestigious. The big picture event is scheduled for Tuesday, April 1st. So we're about a week or two out from that.
Yeah, this has been a rumor for a couple of weeks now. I think it's probably pretty.
It's 3/18. So 2 weeks from today is the first.
This has been a rumor for
CinemaCon.
Yep. Rumored for a couple of weeks. It's probably more than likely going to be the case at this point, which I'm very happy for. We're only a couple months out. July 11th is.
Well, we got the Warner Brothers. We got Warner Brothers CinemaCon event 2025. So we know the date. We know the time.
Yeah.
We've been wondering for a Superman trailer, Superman story. We know when it's coming. So,
but we don't know we don't know. We know when the movie's coming. We don't know if the trailer's coming out. I'm saying it's likely that it probably is at CinemaCon. Because
put it here. Circle it in the calendar.
No. I think it's happening. I'm trying to explain why.
Oh, yeah.
Because the movie's coming out a mere 4 months from now. It's not that long away. Yeah. They're trying to drive hype, as we've talked about in the past. This is going to be a massive, massive marketing campaign that they're calling the Summer of Superman. They're going all in with this movie, and if it doesn't work out, they're fucked.
We're getting a Superman trailer on April Fool's Day, which is amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it because it doesn't matter what they fucking show us. It's Superman, and they can show it to us on fucking April 1st, which we all know it's a joke day. April Fools. Well, we're gonna get it, and we're gonna love it. And we're going to eat it up.
Yeah, I'll probably cry.
That's what we're getting. And yeah, we're going to get Smiles and cries.
And we got
on
more
episodes.
Superman news, it looks like here. Latest cut,
We do.
140 minutes. I
Yeah.
had that on Twitter. I was going to mention it.
Yeah.
140 minutes.
Yeah, we got the runtime. Well, we've got some screenings, is what we're hearing.
Yeah, they might they might trim it a little.
We're hearing that they're doing screenings, and the screenings are that it's about a 2-hour movie, give or take. We're 2 hours and 10 minutes a year, 140 minutes. But yeah, it's fascinating. I don't care if this is a 2-hour movie.
Well, hey now,
or a 2.5-hour movie, Dan.
I gotta
don't
call you
care.
out because you always complain about the runtime when we watch a movie.
I do.
It's like your number one critique of
do.
every movie.
It is, yes.
But this is in line with all James Gunn's movies. So I just want to say
on
that.
the movie. It depends on the movie.
I mean, listen. I want a fucking 4-hour movie of Superman. I don't give a shit. I want it all.
Okay.
Hyped.
All right.
Well, let's get into our movie that we're talking about today, starring Timothée Chalamet, and that is A Complete Unknown. I was excited for this movie.
Great movie. Dan loved it. Marvin loved it. I loved it.
Not quite. So, in telling the story of Bob Dylan, it's impossible to separate fact from fiction a lot of the time because...
Is it?
Yeah, the man from the myth. The best you could do is tell it the way he told it. Doesn't always make sense.
Is that how he told it?
And some of it never happened.
Yeah.
Dylan spent the majority of his life crafting an image, turning himself into Bob Dylan to erase Robert Zimmerman. And can a singular force like Bob Dylan be accurately depicted ever in a movie? Let's find out.
Great movie.
Directed by James Mangold, A Complete Unknown charts Dylan's early years and rise to fame. Beginning in 1961, it follows the young musician as he arrives in New York City, immersing himself in the Greenwich Village scene. People around him think he's a genius, the next great hope for folk music. Time goes by, and as he evolves musically, those around him start to wonder just who is Bob Dylan.
He's an asshole.
It was written by, co-written by James Mangold, Jay Cox. It's based on a biography book by Elijah Wald, and it stars Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan, Ed Norton as Pete Seeger, Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez, Elle Fanning as Sylvie Russo, and some other people in there. Scoot McNairy, notably.
Oklahoman?
Who's that?
Our Oklahoman?
Who's an Oklahoman?
The person he went to see in the beginning of the movie?
Woody Guthrie? Oh, he's from Oklahoma, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I see.
Who is our Oklahoman?
Scoot McNairy.
Okay.
So Woody Guthrie is your claim to fame, being from Oklahoma, huh?
Not the only one. Garth Brooks is there too.
Oh, wow.
Shout out.
That's big.
Yeah.
Shout out to Garth Brooks.
Yeah, he's a serial killer, apparently.
Is he?
Every time he goes to a city, somebody dies, and somebody thinks that Garth Brooks is the guy that kills that guy.
Oh, that's pretty fucking funny. I didn't know that.
It's actually, if you want to go down that rabbit hole,
no, I'm good.
It's fascinating.
That's bizarre.
It is bizarre. It's intriguing.
That is.
And I would suggest go down that rabbit hole.
That is funny, actually. I might have to look that up.
Okay. Garth Brooks serial killer is an algorithm.
An algorithm, huh?
It is.
Interesting.
Anywho.
So, yeah. So this movie is telling the story of Bob Dylan between the years of 1961 and 1965, when ultimately he shocked the music world and went electric. So kick us off. What'd you think? Apparently you liked it, huh?
The opening scene where he walks in, not I guess I don't know that I called the opening scene. The opening scene for me in this movie is when he walks in to the room with Woody Guthrie.
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, I love you.
Yeah.
And I like music.
Correct.
And this is my music. And I hope you love my music."
Yeah.
And then he started playing music. And like that for me was the movie. Like that's what it was. And it doesn't go much beyond that, but it does. It expands upon it to a great many details, which I enjoy. Um, but it doesn't go beyond that. And I love it for that. And because of it, I love this movie. This movie was great. That scene where he's just like, hey, this is me. And I know who you are. And I'm gonna play something for you.
Hmm.
And I hope you like it. Like the opening sequence before everything, like he walks into the room, like there's a lot of stuff that happens before he walks into the room with Woody Guthrie.
Right.
But when he walks into the room with Woody Guthrie and he does that scene, like that's the movie for me. And I'm just like, holy shit, this might be one of my favorite movies of the year.
So what you're saying is you watched a movie about a guy who just wants to create music for the love of the music, and that's it.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting that that was your takeaway.
Isn't that not what you watched?
Well, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm genuinely saying it's interesting because I had a bit of a different reaction to it. Now, as you know, I don't know if you know, I don't know if we've ever talked about it. I'm what you would consider to be a Bob Dylan super fan.
Yes.
I've read all the books. I've seen all the documentaries. I've heard every song he's ever made, including the many, many, many bootleg tapes and demos and this and that. And so I have probably about as much knowledge as one could have on Bob Dylan.
Too much knowledge, some would argue.
Yeah, probably. And that's not to say that I'm an authority on the matter.
No.
But it did inform, I think, my opinion on the movie a little bit, which I did go into it trying to separate myself from those things. But that's
Good.
also hard to do when a movie is billed as a
Yes.
biopic or docudrama about a person.
Very difficult.
From a
Yes.
man, James Mangold, who has done biopics in the past, namely the one about Johnny Cash, that I can't...
Great.
What's that one called again? Walk the Line, yeah.
Walk the Line, no.
Great movie, yeah. Definitely a great movie. But with Dylan, specifically, as I said, he was an enigma, which is the word you were looking for earlier when you said algorithm, I think.
Yes.
His career is a fairy tale. It's a mix of fact, fiction, and sometimes outright lies. Aside from that, he changed his music. He reinvented himself constantly. He rejected labels. He was famously hostile towards the media and the press and sometimes his fans, I say. And he's just a hard to depict character. And on top of that, he's still alive. Most biopics are done posthumously. And so I don't know that a movie... I don't know that a movie
hard
could
to do sometimes. I appreciate that they did it when they did, rather than waiting for him to die. I feel like, because I mean, yeah, sometimes it's better when they're dead, but I feel like this movie maybe hit better because he was alive.
Maybe. But so James Mangold took a different approach with this movie. He didn't want to make a straightforward biopic. He kind of wanted to, I guess, just sort of strip those things away. And so the reason I said to you, like, oh, that's what your takeaway was, I found that interesting because I genuinely don't know who this movie was for or what it wanted to say and what it wanted to show, other than maybe what you took away from it is like, hey, this is just a movie about a guy who wants to make music. But that's like such a simplistic dilution of really who Bob Dylan is as a person.
Music biopic.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
right?
no, it is. But like
the simplicity of a music biopic is that this is a person who makes music. We're going to make a movie about them. Their life was musical, but at the same time, there are some things that weren't so musical about it. And we're going to try and tell that story. It feels like that's kind of what they did.
I think that's where I think that's where I misalign with you a little bit, because I took nothing away from this movie about Dylan the person, nor did I take anything away about any of the people in his life. Like I just
Really?
I just genuinely don't know what this movie was about. Like a lot of the things that this movie tells you, like there's nothing in this movie that I didn't already know. And if I didn't know that information, I don't think I would have learned it from this movie. I don't know who Dylan is. I don't know what his motivations are. I don't know what his beliefs are. I don't know what his worldview is in this movie. You don't really know anything about him.
Well,
and that,
well,
but hang on. Let me finish.
Okay.
So but that was the approach that James Mangold wanted to take in creating this unconventional, less straightforward biopic. And it's no accident that the movie is called A Complete Unknown, because the man, Bob Dylan, is, in fact, very much a complete unknown. There are not, like I said, it's hard to piece together the fact and fiction of his life. A good example of that is his story that we see him tell in the movie briefly, is that he worked for a circus. That never happened. That was a lie he told in 1961. He said he was born in Mexico and hitchhiked to New York, and in between stopped and worked at a circus. But that didn't happen. And in the movie, we see Joan Baez. She's even like, "Oh, that's obviously bullshit, Bob. Like, what are you talking about?" And he pushes back and says, he pushes back against his girlfriend in the film and says, you know, people lie about their past all the time. Like, they're not who they say they are. Like, that's really what the movie was trying to showcase. And it's a little bit meta in that Dylan lied a lot in his own life, and the movie is sort of a mixture of, it's like a fascinating mix of fact, fantasy, things that are just outright lies. And it was endorsed by Bob Dylan. He did a table read where he read all his own lines. And so I don't know, I just kind of fell a little bit flat because it didn't really tell me anything about the man or anybody around him.
Yeah, I can see how you might be deflated a little bit about it because you're such a fanatic about the man, myth, the legend, and I can appreciate and respect that. But I also see that this is a tale of a man who most people don't even know or understand.
Well,
so
I was going to say that I can't
some
wait.
of the stories are important.
But what, though? What stories? I wish Marvin was here, because I want to ask him next week. Got to remind me, because I'm genuinely curious. Like, what did Marvin learn about Bob Dylan from watching this movie?
That's a good question. But what I would say is that I think what I would want people to walk away from going into this, like if I were standing outside of a movie theater and I were trying to sell tickets to this Bob Dylan movie theater, and say, "Hey, Marvin, come on in, watch this movie."
Lean back a little bit. The light's blowing you out a little.
It's too much. I would be like,
pull the mic in. Be comfortable, but
Marvin, this is the way that Bob Dylan is.
Do you think that he would have that takeaway? I don't think he would. I don't think this movie did anything in any way to, like, tell you anything.
Okay, so what I would say is like the opening sequence where
I want to be clear real quick. I'm not arguing this from the stance of a Bob Dylan fan. I accept that I know more than like the average person does and should know about the man. But either way, I'm saying that I don't think this movie, even as a movie, did anything but just show you this like series of events that maybe the one takeaway you could have is what you had. Whereas, like, here's this guy who likes music, wants to play music like his heroes, accidentally fell into fame, and the fame became too overwhelming for him.
Yes, I don't know if that's how I quantify it, but yes. The problem is, for me, the brilliance of that opening sequence of Bob Dylan going to Woody Guthrie
Mhm.
and saying, "Hey, I'm a musician,
Yeah.
and I see you as somebody like on high.
Mhm.
You are I don't know how you portray like you're on Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
You're on high. You are where I want to be,
Right.
and I just want to sit here and I want to play a song for you."
Mhm.
And then Woody Guthrie reacts to that. Like that whole scene for me was like, that was
Well,
brilliant.
I'm glad you
That was
brought that up.
brilliant. That was brilliant
Um
fucking like writing
yeah.
and performance and scenery on a level that I don't know that I've seen in a long time. Like I watched that and I was like, man, this might be my favorite movie of the year.
And so it's a good thing you brought that up because it's a good it's good, it strengthens what I'm trying to say too, is because so again, Dylan was this enigma who told a lot of stories and has a pretty interesting relationship with the truth in his life. The movie does a similar thing, and the movie is a mixture of fact and fiction. And uh the movie takes a lot of liberties with events and characters
Yes.
and time periods and chronological order. And um it includes events that like might have happened, some that should have happened, and some that are faithful retellings of events that are well documented. And in that way, the movie keeps with Bob Dylan's penchant for quote self mythologizing. Like that's what he did. He self mythologized himself. Um, that scene that you're mentioning with Woody Guthrie didn't happen the way the movie depicts. The song that he is singing to him is a song he wrote after meeting with Woody Guthrie, not before. So it's a good example of how the movie kind of like jumbles,
Taking liberties.
takes liberties and jumbles fact and fiction.
Yes.
It's doing it for more of a reason than just your standard dramatization. It's doing it because it's like a meta sort of telling of this story about a guy whose story is jumbled and confusing and larger than life. And I had a similar reaction to you. I'm not like saying I wasn't like a soulless husk watching this. I cried a little bit during the scene where he plays the girl from North Country in Pete Seeger's living room, because Pete looks at him with such a look.
Pete.
Well, hang on.
Did an amazing job.
I thought Edward Norton as Pete Seeger did a really great job of every time he is interacting with Dylan, he's looking at him as if he knows he's going to change the world. And that's the first time he kind of gives him that look. He's just watching him play this song, which also did not happen in real life. So just again, another liberty, which is fine. And that's not my complaint.
How do you know?
I mean, there are, like I said, there's things that are well documented. I guess you don't know for sure, but I think that's one of the things that's pretty well documented is that he did not stay.
I can respect. Yeah,
he did not stay with Pete Seeger. Like he didn't come to New York alone.
I would say there are some. I think what this movie tried to do is.
I want to be clear. That's not my complaint, by the way.
No, but what this movie I feel like tried to do was to encapsulate something that Pete, in his infancy of experiencing Bob Dylan, tried to deal with. Like he's like, oh my God, like it just experience, like when you sit down and somebody stands up and they start to sing, you can tell immediately, like, oh my God, this person is amazing. Like if Gwen Stefani or any other fucking famous pop star like stood up in front of you and just started singing, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, this is awesome. Like this is fucking amazing. Like this is what you would feel like. Like this is the things that Pete felt. And Pete was like, oh my God, Bob Dylan. Yeah, I don't know. Like you're a folk legend and you could be so much more, but he fell short of what Pete wanted him to be, but he didn't fall short of what he was. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you
There's another movie. I
have
don't know.
problems with.
What do you mean?
The film.
Well,
Because you're not. I feel like this was a good encapsulation of the energy that was a man.
I don't think so at all. That's
who lit up the world. Who lit up the world for a very short amount of time.
Short amount of time. He's been around for 80
burnt out.
I mean, I don't think he.
But okay, all right.
This movie
if you go to Apple Music and you look at downloads, Bob Dylan is not up there with some of the other artists.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
He might have been.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm merely.
Well, you say short time. It's just not accurate. After this movie ends,
I'm pontificating on the presence of Bob Dylan of that time. He had.
Yeah, he was a. Well, this is where I guess my argument is. Like you're making my argument for me. Where in this movie does it showcase that he was such a monumental figure in this period of time?
There was nothing per se that said this is Bob Dylan in this year.
I have more too.
This is what defined him. But I think there is plenty in the story that says this is Bob Dylan and this is how Bob Dylan was. He was an interesting, intricate, unique character that you can't understand and you can't define. And there were times and events where he did breathtaking things that were awe-defying, and in his presence you experience something that you didn't experience before, but then that is gone. And I feel like they tried to put that in a movie, and I feel like they did okay with that. You seem to be not so much.
No, so there's a movie called I'm Not There, came out a bunch of years ago, that is also a sort of biopic about Bob Dylan in a much, much more avant-garde artistic manner. Have you seen it?
No.
That movie stars.
It's called I'm Not There?
It's called I'm Not There. It was made by Tom Haynes. And
who plays Bob?
Well, so that's the thing. It's not about. There is no Bob. Why can't I find it?
Oh.
I'm not there. Did I? Yeah, I'm not there. What the fuck? Why isn't it on IMDb? Right. There is no Bob Dylan. There are characters that are inspired by Bob Dylan, the real life Bob Dylan, and each character in this movie represents Dylan in different stages of his life and career. Christian Bale, plays one.
Yes, I remember this movie. Have not seen it, but I remember this movie. Yes.
Kate Blanchett plays one. Heath Ledger plays one. Ben Whishaw plays one.
This is one of his last movies. Yes.
Richard Gere plays one. Marcus Carl Franklin, a little black kid, plays one version of Bob Dylan. So again, they're not playing Bob Dylan. They're playing characters that are inspired by Bob Dylan.
Could have been the ghost of Bob Dylan and the person that they're playing.
And in that way, that movie creatively explores the many different facets of Bob Dylan's life and personality as he grew over the years and changed with the times and changed with his music. That movie was I think, a better depiction of what this movie was trying to do. So much so, this movie titled it A Complete Unknown. It's like, we get it. We can't know the man, but but this movie used that as an excuse to just give us this sort of like flat nothing narrative and characters.
I don't know that it was necessarily flat nothing narrative. I
thought this was a very straightforward.
I understand what you're saying.
Movie.
I understand. Okay, I get where you're at now as far as where this movie goes and where it's going. I understand. You appreciated it for what it was, but you didn't.
I want to be clear.
Accept it.
No, I want to be clear. I thought the movie as a movie is amazing. Acting, writing, directing, music, phenomenal movie. Set design, I thought it did a great job of depicting this time and place in the 60s. But character-wise, flat, boring, did nothing, hollow, empty. It didn't reveal anything about Dylan, who he was, what motivated him. In fact, a large chunk of this movie is with him and his girlfriend Sylvie, who is inspired by the real woman who's on the cover of Free Will and Bob Dylan. And the movie depicts her as somebody who she's an activist and an artist, and the movie teases the fact that she inspired him to write these political protest songs that he became famous for back then. But there is no mention of the civil rights movement in this movie, other than a brief little snippet on TV of him playing at the March on Washington. You also get a brief little news report of the Cuban Missile Crisis. This movie does not at all depict the tumultuous social and political upheaval of the 1960s, which is what inspired him to become who he is. And it's such a huge part of why his fans became so attached to him, because he was, quote, the voice of a generation. That's what they call him. He spoke to their pain and their heartache and the things that they were going through as one of them. And when he went electric and ditched this folk movement that was such a huge part of the civil rights era, they felt like he abandoned them. That's like such a huge part of who he is as a person and why he felt the way he felt back then, of like, you guys are pinning me down into something that I never wanted to be part of. Like, I never wanted to represent a generation. I'm just making music, guys. And the movie doesn't depict any of that. So I was just like,
I think it does.
I don't think so at all. I was waiting the whole time like, man, when are they going to like show me who he is? What motivates him? Why is he doing the things that he's doing? What does he care about?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can understand and empathize with you not appreciating the enamoredness. That's not even a word.
Nope, not a word at all.
I know of.
Not a word.
But I can see where you're coming from as far as like,
the only thing
I'm disappointed and let down by the personification of this character. I can understand that, but at the same time I don't, because I think this was like a great personification of Bob Dylan.
Well,
I think Timothy Chalamet sat down and did some things that Bob Dylan would have done. And I maybe think that might be why you don't like it as much, is because I feel like Chalamet did something that wasn't allowed of him. Like, he was like, yeah, no, I don't.
No, I think he did a really great job in the role. I'm not criticizing that. I just think the portrayal of him, like I think Mangold and Cox, who wrote it, I think they might have written this story from behind rose-tinted glasses. The movie seems almost hesitant to criticize Dylan, or even portray him as anything. Like the movie is even like, it seems afraid to portray him even as like a mere mortal at times. Like, they treat him with such deference. It seems like they're trying to like make him a saint, or like they're trying to like lobby for his sainthood or something. It's weird.
I mean, but it's not weird.
Well, no, let me finish.
That's natural, right?
I agree.
That's natural.
I'm a fan.
Okay.
I know he should be lauded as such, but when you're telling a biography about a man, you have to navigate the deeper and darker parts of what makes him who he is. And it didn't even do that. When they did criticize him a little bit, it was nothing more than just trivial stuff. Then he's like arrogant is really all it was.
I understand your complaints now a lot more thoroughly, and I do agree with some of them. Yes, you're not wrong.
I also
in the way that you're
And again,
valid.
I want to be clear. I'm not criticizing Chalamet. I thought he did a great job, but this version of
did
Dylan,
an amazing job. Amazing job.
He did, but
the fact that he did not get an Academy nomination. Well, did he get an Academy?
He got a nomination,
for
yes.
this one?
Yeah.
He did? Okay.
Best actor. But, you know, despite his performance, I think this is just a very dull version of the guy. Like, it's hard to imagine this exceedingly aloof guy presented in a way like it's hard to imagine that he could ever amount to or care about anything in the world. Like, this version of Dylan we saw in this movie does not come across as a person
I
who,
don't think you can encapsulate him in this
cares
world,
about
though.
things.
Like,
you have to.
I don't think you can.
He was
I don't think you can, though.
Well, that's what
Like,
that's
if
what I'm trying to say.
Bob Dylan in today, you would be disappointed with him.
No,
is how I feel like if you threw Bob Dylan in, like, hey, Bob Dylan, Trump is the president and Biden is crazy, and he was the president for the last 4 years, and he was crazy when he was president, and we don't know what's going on now.
Are you?
And the music of today is Taylor Swift.
Well, are you trying?
Do what you're gonna do. I don't think you get the same Bob Dylan.
Are you so then you agree? Well, not that you agree. Are you saying that he's a product of the era that he came from?
I think he's partially.
Are you
partially?
Also, question: are you trying to say that he doesn't? And that's me being argumentative. I want to know: are you trying to say that he didn't have any type of like he didn't care about the civil rights movement or Vietnam, and that he was just kind of playing a character?
Into the nuts and the bolts of it. And then this is where it's good. I think Bob Dylan appreciated when he was born, and I think that he knew to an extent the importance of his
role.
Yes, role is a good word. Defiance to the system.
Well,
because that's what Bob Dylan is, a defiance to the system.
So do you think his participation in the civil rights movement was a defiance to the system, or was he truly did he truly care about the people fighting that battle?
I think that Bob Dylan cared about the people in the time that he was born.
He wrote a song called The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. It's about the death of a slave at the hands of her owners. Like, you don't write that if you don't care about those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so,
but that's what I'm saying is, like, he cares about those things, but
to circle back, I don't think the movie portrayed a man who cares about anything. He's so apathetic in this movie, he might as well be dead.
I didn't get a movie about an apathetic man.
Like, I don't know.
We got different movies. Like if you thought that Bob Dylan was apathetic and immovable,
the movie version of him
and
was
insufferable, I got a different person.
Yeah, that's fair.
I got a Bob Dylan that was like, holy shit, like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this.
Oh, that I got. That I got just fine.
And in that defiance, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna fucking do.
Sure.
Right? That's the Bob Dylan that I think, like, fuck you, but at the same time, I will sing a fuck you to you.
Also, a big part of this movie is the way he influences the people around him. And as you mentioned with Pete Seeger, he's meant to have this effect on people that doesn't make any sense to me. I was unsure what the allure was that he held. You're saying something a little bit different. I thought he's boring when he's not rude, and is both of those things, boring and rude, most of the time. He came off in this movie like the equivalent of like a moody teenager just wanting the world to think he's deep or something like that. But I don't know, love him or hate him, the real life Dylan is more interesting than just a hollow, lifeless representation that I think this movie offers.
For sure.
So those are just my, I'm not upset with the accuracy of the movie. I think it's cool to tell a story in an obscure way, given the fact that his life and events of his life were a little bit obscured as well. I think there's another movie that did that better. As I mentioned, I'm Not There. You should watch it as a Dylan fan. I don't think it contextualized the era of the 1960s all that well. There's another movie, funny enough, sort of loosely about Dylan, that did that better, which is Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen brothers movie. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Well, you should watch it. Oscar Isaac plays a down and out struggling folk singer.
Yes, I have. Yes, okay. I have.
So
I've seen it.
For the folks at home who haven't, it's about a down and out struggling folk singer in the village in the early 1960s.
Great movie.
And
Great movie.
He's part of the folk scene. He's struggling. He can't he's trying to break through and can't. And this whole movie, you watch this struggle over the course of a couple of days. And at the end of the movie, it's such a good ending. The movie ends with him walking out of the Gaslight, which is a famous club that all the folk singers played in the Village at the time. And in the background of this scene, this ending, it's Dylan getting up on stage and playing a song. And it's like, the movie ends when Dylan first came to New York. And it's such a depressing, sad ending for this character, Llewyn Davis, because it's like, oh, wow, he didn't make it. Like, he's a nobody, and now Dylan's going to come in, completely take the world by storm, and crush the dreams of any small-time local folk singer. And so I think that movie is just a better portrayal of the folk movement at the time. And so really at the end of the day, I'm like, well, what did this movie want to do? What was this movie trying to tell me? Like, what? I didn't walk away with anything is my main thing.
I think it did. Okay. So this is where,
yeah, we have varying takes on this.
I feel like
obviously
this movie told a story of, for sure, Bob Dylan.
That's fair.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
There's a story of Bob Dylan here. Now, whether you can respect that story or appreciate that story or follow that story or believe that story to 100% certainty, I don't know.
I think it's a story of Bob Dylan in as much as it's like he comes to New York, plays music, gets famous, goes electric, movie ends. In that very basic narrative, yeah, it's a Bob Dylan movie. But like James Mangold appeared to think that like calling the movie A Complete Unknown, he could get away with not revealing anything of substance and that the audience was just going to accept it, which, going by a lot of the positive responses to it, many do, it had a lot of Oscar hype. I think this is an Oscar bait movie, like a T. I think it's just a safe movie. It doesn't really do anything.
Put it in Oscar contention.
No, I think he was great.
His presence.
Let's talk about the acting
because, like I said, when I sat down and watched this film, and I saw Chalamet sit down and do the scene with Woody Guthrie, and they're banging on the door, and he's like, "I want to be you."
Yeah,
but you're washed. You're done.
Well, tragically sick, but yeah.
You are like, you are my idol, but at the same time, I am in a place and a time where you're shit on. You know what I'm saying? Like, like he went to this place. He's like, I want to find Woody Guthrie. I want to talk to Woody Guthrie. I want to know Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
And when he got there, most artists would have been let down and be like, really? You're Woody Guthrie? Fuck you. I can go do my own thing. But he sat down and did a shindig where he's like, yeah, I wrote this song for you. This is about you. This is for you. And I hope you appreciate it. And that was one of the most, that opening scene, like, that killed the movie for me. Like, that was like, I sat down and I was like, okay, yeah, Bob Dylan, Woody Guthrie. And Woody Guthrie's like, do it again. It's great. Like, I loved, like, there was something about that opening scene that just like touched me. That was like,
no,
okay,
it was very, it's very touching.
You know what I mean? Like,
and yeah, I mean, I just, you know,
that sequence of events, like everything after that, like, I could have been bored. I could have been asleep. I could have been dead, whatever. But yeah. That opening sequence, it hooked me and I got it.
Okay.
I get it.
Well, despite my displeasure with the way he was portrayed in some of the other characters, like, you don't even learn the complexities of his relationship with Joan Baez.
And you don't need to.
You do need to because it's like a massive part of their life. No, you're incorrect. 100%. She has a song about it. Their relationship was heartbreaking and crippling to her.
Whose relationship?
Bob Dylan and Joan Baez.
Okay.
and the movie does not even depict it, other than the fact that they have like a little falling out towards the end, like, and she gives him the finger. The movie doesn't tell you that they were like, she was madly in love with him, and like he treated her like shit. He secretly got married and had a baby with Sarah Lowndes, his first wife, while he was sleeping with her.
It's weird.
Like, the movie just doesn't tell you any of these things. It's just such a bland, empty movie. But despite those complaints, I thought the acting was fantastic. I think Timothée Chalamet did a great job mimicking Dylan's voice and mannerisms. I think the supporting cast was all great. Elle Fanning was fantastic. Ed Norton was amazing. Monica Barbaro, standout of the movie. She is not a trained singer, and I thought she did a really good job of mimicking.
I thought Ed was a standout.
Joan Baez's beautiful voice. Ed Norton is just, one of the best actors ever. So he was amazing in this movie. He did do an amazing job. I thought Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash was really good for the few times he was on screen, and he kind of plays that voice over Dylan's shoulder, being like, "Nah, keep fucking pissing everybody off. Play it loud, BD." And I thought that was great. I thought the 60s aesthetic was fantastic. The live music performances were well done. That's probably the biggest takeaway from me for this movie that is going to really save it in terms of the way I rate it, is that they recorded all the musical performances live so that they maintained the authenticity of the time. All these actors are singing and performing live, and that's an amazing feat. Excuse me. And I think they did a great job with that. But unfortunately, this just, I don't know, I thought the movie overall kind of felt like a tribute concert, really, rather than telling me anything about Bob Dylan. I don't think
that's fair.
So I don't know. It's
you're a fanatic though. So
it's
you're
not
being let down by
a
story that most people don't even know. You've known this story
but that's why
almost whole adult life. But you've known this story almost your whole adult life. And most people will never know this story.
That's why I'm criticizing
not even a tinge of this story.
But that's why I'm criticizing it. Marvin said to us in the Discord, like, "Oh, tell the audience that I like Bob Dylan now." And I was like, "Based on what?"
Does he?
He's like, "Just his music." So I'm curious if Marvin felt that he learned anything from this movie, and if he wants to go out and learn anything more about Dylan, because I don't think this movie did anything to tell anyone about the movie. I'm not criticizing it because I know a lot about Dylan. I mean, I am, but I don't think if like somebody who doesn't know Dylan sits down and watches this movie, I don't think they're going to know what the fuck is the takeaway, which is a massive disservice to the man himself, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But overall, I do think the movie was an objectively very good movie based on
very good
all the things that movies, all the things that make a movie good. This movie did, but felt a little bit empty. And I think it's I don't know. I don't know if it's really a movie for Dylan fans or casual viewers. I don't think it's for either of those people. So again, I don't know really who it's for.
I think it's for Dylan fans. It's definitely for Dylan fans. And this is like telling people that Elvis movies aren't for them, even if it's about Abe Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
Yeah,
Elvis could be involved.
This movie felt like a bad photograph of like a shadow, where like the subject is like inherently elusive, but the quality of its portrayal should still be better. Like, I think this is clearly an Oscar bait movie where it like trades in the love of the subject matter in an attempt to win like a critical commercial success, which again, it's largely been doing. Walk the Line was definitely more accomplished, and I don't know, it just felt like that movie was a more like just a better portrayal of a character. Like, it's a biopic. It's not like a fantasy. That's the thing. Like, I get he was doing experimental shit with it or whatever he wants to say, but I don't know. I don't think it explores the character at its heart and with enough depth to like truly mark or make, add anything of note surrounding Bob Dylan discourse is really the thing. Like,
that's fair.
And so, as I said in the beginning, like, who is Bob Dylan? It's a fascinating question because he truly is an enigma. And I think Mangold can't can't and didn't answer the question. You know, Dylan's been mythologized as long as he's been around. And again, the film does very little to demystify him, in my opinion. It's got a 7.4 on IMDb, and I got to drop it a little bit. I'm going with a 6.5.
Sure, I agree with you. It's not worth a bump. It's good. Is it as shitty as you say it is?
I don't think it's shitty. I think it's a little mid. That's all. 6.5 is above mid. So.
Definitely mid.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on A Complete Unknown. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie. I'd be very curious to know if you're a Bob Dylan fan. I feel like I already know that maybe more people would be in line with me, but maybe not. Maybe more people share your opinion, Dusty. Let us know in the comments. If you are not a previous Bob Dylan fan and you watch this, let us know what your takeaways were, if there was anything in this movie that really spoke to you about who the man is. That's what I'd be curious about, because again, like, I don't think it really did an effective job in that. Leave a like on the video. It helps us out. If you're listening or watching on Spotify or Apple or any of the other podcast platforms, leave a rating. Subscribe to the show or follow the show on those platforms, whatever you're able to do. It helps us out tremendously. Next week, we're coming back with our Make Marvin Watch of the Month. And Marvin is watching, say it again for us, Dusty. I forgot what it's called.
We're watching
Summer School. Apparently you did too.
Summer School.
A movie that I did not see either, so it should be a good episode.
1987.
There you go, 1987. So join us next week. We appreciate you watching and or listening, and we'll catch you then.
Austin.